Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So there's some articles that are surfacing now because of the Kevin Hart controversy on him not doing the Oscars. And I just wanted to give my feedback on what I recall or I remember happening a little before all of this. And so, first of all, I wanted to point out that Hollywood, almost all of Hollywood, is gay. So let's get that straight. Um, there's no secret to that. I don't think there should be. And so you signed up for what you signed up for. And so if you can't handle it, then it might be your career. And so it's just like when you work in an environment around other people of other backgrounds and other cultures, you have to kind of learn how to agree to disagree, and then you have to also learn how to work with people from different backgrounds and from different walks of life. Even if you don't live the way they live, you don't eat the way they eat, you don't believe in the same type of things that they believe in. And so anybody that's getting into Hollywood should know by now that, you know, the gay thing is not a secret anymore. And so in Hollywood, that's practically all it is. And that's just my opinion in that sense. But I feel that it is. Um, like all these people who came out and who said what they were, this had been going on for many, many years. And so there was no secret to that. And so if you're getting into that type of arena, then that's what you signed up for. The other thing is with Kevin Hart, as I recall, I don't know if people's memory was short. All these people are trying to come out and defend him, and some of it having to do with race. But if my memory serves me correct, Kevin Hart, when he rose to fame, he had no problem making offensive jokes towards black women. And so that left a really nasty taste in the mouths of people who are supportive of the culture in terms of being supportive of black females, because black females tend to get um, degraded a lot, misused, mistreated, and there's a lot of offensive things that have happened throughout history involving black females. And so Kevin Hart didn't have a problem making jokes that were extremely offensive towards black females. And he just seemed to shoot up to fame. And nobody came to defense on none of that. And so now that he's all of a sudden wanting all this support about how he doesn't want to do the Oscars, and he didn't do the Oscars because it goes against his beliefs of him either being for or against LGBTQ community. He wants all these black people to rally behind him. And so these are the people, and normally it's the people who either they hate gay people, and let's just be real here, they hate gays, or they just want to support him because they're extremely controlling, and they like the fact that he made fun of black women and he spoke in those terms. And these are guys, they have money. Some of them have had money or they have money, and they're lonely. They've treated women like shit. And if you really look back, Kevin Hart was not the best in terms of relationship with females, because I believe he was in one relationship with one woman and was married to her. And then the woman that he cheated with, he was messing around with another lady while he was married. And the one that he was messing with, she turned around and wanted to marry him. Now, I don't know if anybody recalls all of that. And so Kevin now he wants all this support and he wants all these black people to rally behind him on him basically hating on gay people, which might I add there are black gay people as well. And they're also a part of the LGBT community. So the thing that I have a problem with is how people's memories are very short because this is the same man that rose to fame and he had no problem poking fun of black women. And it always seems to be these little dudes that are really dark that have no problem, or they really short and arrogant, or they're an asshole, period. Even if they're not short or dark, they're an asshole. And I'm saying it. And they have no problem making fun of black women. And so when something doesn't work out for them, they want everybody's support and they want you to rally around them. So everybody's falling in line and they making it a race thing. I'm like, well, where was the race thing when he was making fun of black women? And so that's all I'm saying on that issue. So there's this article, and I guess there's a host of comedians who, in the past, there has been comedians that have said offensive things. And so it depends. I guess if you cross a line, some people are okay with jokes, and then there's some jokes that just aren't funny. And it people are picking and choosing what jokes should be, allowed and what shouldn't be allowed. And I feel like this, if it's all offensive, then don't do none of it. Don't do none of it. But what I'm saying is for him and Kevin Hart, and I'm knowing that probably all these little activists and all these little black dudes that are rappers, Redman spoke out and he was in support of it. And I like, rap music. I like some of the artists that have spoke out, some of their work. But I'm gonna be honest with you that I don't support Kevin Hart because I don't really think he's all that funny. If you ask me, that's my opinion. Some people think he's hilarious. Maybe he has some quirky ways and he can be kind of funny in one sense on TV or on camera when he's in certain movies. He has been in some movies with The Rock and he's been in some movies with some other well known, famous people. But some of the things that he was doing or some of the things that he's done in before in terms of black females left a not so good taste in my mouth. I just didn't feel like I just had this feeling that he was not this, you know, type of guy that these people had lifted him up to be. So, okay, I will give it to him that he made his mistakes and he apologized to the LGBTQ community. He did do that. The other thing I wanted to add is people do make mistakes. They do say things that are offensive, but they is what they do after that. And so he claims he's grown. We'll see about that. I don't know. The other thing I wanted to say is that everybody is not always going to agree on the same beliefs and the same ideas. So some people need to realize that just because a one group is for one community doesn't mean all groups are for that community. And so people have to realize that everybody is not going to have the same beliefs, but it's how you treat people too. And so you have to treat people with respect, even if you don't agree on a particular lifestyle or you don't, and there's different religions and some people can't agree on those. But you don't go around hurting people because they're a different religion than you. But however, this time we're living in, there are people doing that. And so I'm not really surprised because there is a lot of hate out there. And so I feel like this. I'm neutral with everybody. I feel that what bothers me is when black men can make fun of black females and tell all of these nasty jokes and rise to fame, and now something doesn't fit well in their program and their belief system, so now they want all this black support. That I'm not cool with that. That's what I'm saying. And there's so many videos being made by these same type of dudes. And some of them, they have money, but they're miserable, they're lonely, they're hunting for vagina. They sleep with prostitutes. They sleep with stray women in the street. They can't keep a relationship. They're, moving back and forth from haystack to haystack. They can't keep no long-term relationships because they're not stable. And they're probably not stable mentally, emotionally, and who knows whatever else. And so you can see that it's not only women that have issues, there are men that have emotional issues. They just try to hide it. And they don't do a good job of doing that because they move from woman to woman. That tells you they're not stable. And a lot of times, they can't be in any committed relationship, so they're all over the place. And I think something has gone on where they assume that they got to have as many women to sleep with so it makes them a man. And so I don't know where they've got that thinking from, but it puts your life at risk. It puts your health at risk. And your emotional state is at risk. And so, like Redman in his video, he said he was free. Yeah, he's free, but he's not free like he thinks. As long as you're in America, you're not free. So, I don't know where he gets this thinking from. He may be saying he's free from, criticism and stuff like that, but he isn't, because you're in America, you're going to get criticized. You have to pay taxes. You got to live under the guise of American law, so you're not completely free. The other thing is maybe he means he's free of not having to commit to anybody. See, I don't know his life, but as far as I know, it sounds like he's a well-to-do rapper. He's a legend, and that he I don't know if he has any committed relationships. Maybe he keeps them quiet or whatever, but I'm assuming that he's sort of like a player. And most of these guys are. They're not serious about any one person. And they think their manhood is about sleeping with as many females and as many whatever else is out there. And a lot of times too, these same guys will sleep with other men, and they feel that they're not gay because they're not the one taking the whatever it is in sexual terms, the intimacy. They're the one on top. That is, they're not the one on the bottom. So they figure that they don't even call themselves bisexual. They'll say, "Oh, I'm still a man. I'm just a man." And see, these guys float around and sleep with a lot of different people. And then if you get with them, then you wind up at the clinic. And so they won't come out and admit that the reason why they're so against the LGBTQ is because they know, as being a black person, they can't live that life without having to face some type of criticism. And so it's easy to lie and say you hate LGBTQ people when you behind closed doors are that yourself. And so I'm just being honest and straightforward. There's a lot of these dudes that are doing this stuff, and they won't come out and be honest because they have this persona to uphold, and they have this reputation and this look about themselves. They want everybody to think they the man, they the Mac, they the player, they straight, and they bumping all these females. But they're by themselves, they're lonely, they're miserable, they're hateful, they're evil, they're mean motherfuckers. And so they're in the street rolling around looking for booty. And that's all they look at in life. And they have nothing else going for themselves. And they're stingy and self-centered and they're rotten to the core. And so they go around hating other people because somewhere they hate it because they can't live a regular life and be happy with themselves for who they are. They hate themselves. And so they have to hate on others that are happy about the discovery that, okay, I can live this life and live like this, and I know I'm going to face criticism, but I'm happy with myself. And they hate to see that. So anything having to do with the LGBTQ people, they have to jump on it and be violent in their way of language and their way of thinking, and they have to be visceral and they have to be so mean spirited. If you're not gay, then fuck it, you're not gay. End of story, period. You have no comment on that. If you don't like something, you just don't like something. But don't make jokes about it or whatever and stuff like that. Move on. If you can't get along with a certain type of female, move on. But don't get up on stage and make jokes about black females and the very black people that you made jokes about, because that's how black people came here. They had to come through females, had to bring you into this world. Your mama's black. We know Kevin Hart's mama is black. We can see all of us can see that. In order for you to be here, some black woman brought you into this world. And for you to get on stage and make fun of the very people that helped to get you here, and then you rise to fame, and now all of a sudden you don't want to do the Oscars because it's about something that you disbelieve in. And now you want these very people that you done made fun of to rally around you. And guess who's coming to rally around you? All these black dudes who probably they got the same thinking and they the same way. They by themselves. Or they with one woman, one couple of months, it short-lived relationship, and then they move on and then they bump in the next one and making her life miserable. And so that's what I've seen. That's the way it looks. It ain't just Kevin, it's other ones out there that do the same thing. Um, so anyway, I'm going to read this article because it says Kevin Hart's defenders said more than they realized. Those worried that a black comic was being treated unfairly raised key questions facing comedy, even if it was for the wrong examples. And so there's this article about all these people coming to defense of Kevin Hart, and I believe I kind of glanced over it. There's some other articles too where some people come in defense and they speak out, and then others are, I guess, they have mixed emotion. And then they also say that there are white comedians that make jokes and they don't get treated the same way as the black comedians. So all this is pointing around race. But he was making fun of black women, notice that nobody say nothing about that. And so that's all I'm saying. And I'm gonna go through this article really quick, and then I'm gonna tell you my thoughts over on another issue having to do with the artist Cardi B and her breakup. I don't know her personally. I'm kind of giving you a tidbit about her. I've been looking at some of her little, she does these Instagram posts. And for one thing, she's on Instagram too much. She's young, and I know that has something to do with it. And then she's popular. The other thing is that I don't care how you look for these females. I don't care how you look, what you think you got between your legs. Let's get real. Because some of them are all up in their feelings about all of this. You in Hollywood, are you popular? There's so many other people out there. You don't have competition. So you just might as well get used to it. And so you are not the only female that these men are sleeping with. It goes back to just what I've been saying. It's like something in them. It's like a switch that won't turn off. They got to sleep with as many females and as many whatever else is out there. Let's just put it to the way it is. Because some of these guys talking about they don't like LGBTQ. Some of them are doing this stuff. They're doing this stuff. They're sleeping with what is that? They're men and they're dressed up like women, trans, and then they're sleeping with all these people, but they won't come out and admit that the very thing they claim they don't like and they hate this and all. You know the reason why they're so angry about it? Because that's what they're doing. They're doing this, but they can't live like that without being criticized. See, can you imagine if Kevin Hart came out and said, "Oh, I like to sleep with every now and then I have women and I get some man booty." Look at the rappers. Some of them are doing it. They're doing it. Let me tell you, they are doing this, but they're doing it behind closed doors and they're not being honest about it. That's where all this is coming from. And I know some people gonna say, "Oh, that's not true." Yes, it is true. Let's be real. These people, all of them are doing it. All of them are doing it. All of them. Let me say this again. All of them have done it. They tried it, either they liked it or they're all up in their feelings about it, and they're like, oh, I can't let anybody know that I'm like this. You know, let's be real. That's what's happening. Some of these people that claim they don't like this group and all this kind of stuff, they're doing it too. They're in it. So let me read this article. I'm just going to be honest because I think people don't tell the truth. They don't tell the truth about what they do behind closed doors. So last week, Kevin Hart announced that he would step down as the host of the 2019 Oscars amid controversy over his homophobic tweets in 2011. He claimed that he already addressed the tweets previously and that he didn't think that it was necessary to apologize again. So he had apologized. So in the past, he had apologized for his tweets. So it said that he had claimed that he had already addressed the tweets previously, and he didn't think that it was necessary to apologize again, instead opting to walk away from hosting it altogether. So the news sparked divided reactions about whether Hart should have just apologized or whether the whole scandal was yet another example of supposedly excessively political correct internet mob gone too far. And so it says all Kevin Hart had to do was apologize, and they had an X on him and stuff. So there was some people that were rubbed the wrong way. So he did apologize. This was some time back, but I guess they wanted him to re-apologize. But as Hart's fellow comedians started coming to his defense, the racial tension underlying the controversy has become a bigger focus of this. So over the weekend, now Nick Cannon, all these people, all these pro-black people coming to his defense. But when he was making fun of black women, I'm gonna just say that nobody said jack diddly squat. So Nick Cannon went on a tear on Twitter, resurfacing old tweets from white female comedians, okay? Because there were white comedians that were doing the same thing, making jokes like gay jokes and stuff too, but they didn't come down hard on them. And so that's what his comparison was. So it says Chelsea Handler, Amy Schumer, and Sarah Silverman that use homophobic slurs. I wonder if there was any backlash here, he commented, ending with a slightly ominous warning. I'm just saying, should we keep going? He didn't seem to be advocating a protest against the women, but he pointed out, notice he had to use white women. He used the white women because, see, the Oscars, all the women seem to shine in the Oscars. And so he used the white women. But see, the funny thing about this is those same men that would like to sleep with white women. Now, I'm adding some more in here because, see, what works for somebody and what they want you to rally around, that's what they want you to rally around. And they want you to support them. But when it is not working for them, then they wanna bite back at you and snap your head off. So he goes on to say that he commented ending with slightly ominous warning. I'm just saying, should we keep going here? So he was using these comedians, these white female comedians, as an example. So he didn't seem to be advocating a protest against the women, but he pointed out that he loved Wreck-It Ralph, which Silverman voiced a character for, but rather suggesting that a double standard was at play here. So Nick Cannon, he made his tweets on Twitter. So this is what an F bird or a fag bird likes when he flexes. Okay, so I guess that was something in a photo or something that Chelsea Handler had wrote, and it was something he had brought back from whatever a previous comment or whatever. He was using as an example. Interesting. I wonder if there was any backlash here. So, which is a true point. Now, I will say that they treat white comedians and white actors and actresses different than they do to black actors and actresses and comedians. That is true. I will say that. But it says, and I fucking love Wreck-It Ralph. This is Nick Cannon, his comments. I'm just saying here, should we keep going? So he uses his point. So also on Saturday, Michael Chi trotted out a new defense of Hart on Saturday Night Live's weekend update. Just a few months prior to 2018, Emmy co-host had offered a weak justification of disgraced comedian Louis C.K. return to the comedian scene. This time, his comments about Hart appeared to be grounded in a racial anxiety of seeing one of the Hollywood's least controversial black comedians until now fail. And didn't the Academy nominate Mel Gibson for an award just last year? She asked, as a black woman appeared to yell out in agreement, prompting extra laughs. If Kevin Hart isn't clean enough to host the Oscars, then no black comic is. The only black comic I know that is cleaner than Hart is booked for the next 3 to 10 years. And we know that is the picture of Bill Cosby then flashed on the screen. So the barely humorous comment was, on its surface, yet another example of a black man defending another problematic black man from backlash by pulling the race card. But Chi's point had truth behind it. We know that black people tend to experience more swift and severe career punishments for missteps, and that their free expression is hyper policed. And that is true. I will say that. So things that we say are more policed. We experience more backlash in terms of people of color. We go through a lot more than our other counterparts, and than white people, or than even even more than sometimes Latino people. And so it goes on to say, and I have to agree with that. And so it says, whether that's their hair, clothing, slang, or political opinions. And so it wouldn't be surprising if black comedians were given less leeway to offend others, as comedian joins a variety of industries grappling with when and how others as comedians joins a variety of grappling with when and how to enforce changing standards. Curbing black comedians' expression would threaten a rare form where they'd been able to push boundaries of acceptable conversation for decades, often in positive and new directions. But now, and Dave Chappelle talks with Kendrick Lamar about self-expression in Tupac's, but now that some of the most famous black comedians are of older era, struggling to understand the latest developments of the culture they are a part of, their quest to maintain free speech in comedy can sometimes harm other groups that have also been oppressed. Dave Chappelle, widely controversial, returned to stand up in 2017 two-part Netflix special was a prime example. He's jokingly framed the LGBTQ community as entitled and naive to be upset with America or ignoring their cries, arguing that Black Americans have dealt with the reality for much longer. If the police shot half of as many transgenders as they do niggas, and that's they coming from Dave Chappelle, each year there be a war in LA, he said during his show titled The Age of Spin. Chappelle offered a pseudo apology the following show, clarifying that he wants everyone to have their rights, but find it difficult to listen to people talk about how one feels inside when Black people can't conceal their race. Okay, we can't. That's the only thing. People, but see, here's the deal. This is the thing that's frustrating. These angry men that are saying this, I'm very suspicious about them because a lot of times they're using good points, but some of those men, they've slept with other men, but they don't consider themselves as being gay. They think they're just a man. I'm a man. I'm a man. He didn't do me, I did him. Stuff like that. And those are the same ones that you see on here that are so angry. And they're not only angry to LGBTQ people, they're angry to Black women. And so when it was jokes about Black women, when nobody saying nothing about that. That's all I'm saying. When nobody was saying nothing about that, there's a relatable weariness that threaded in the comments by Cannon and Chi, and awareness that Black professionals are certainly treated different. Missing from it, however, is a recognition that the experience doesn't mean comedians have a blanket pass to say whatever they wish, particularly when it comes to other minorities. In Kevin Hart's case, the Academy's decision to give him an option to apologize was actually in line with the way that he'd handled similar controversies in the past. But comedians and fans alike have been up in arms about whether stand up should have a boundary at all for ages now. At this point, the dialogue is so repetitive, it's becoming much a part of their material as the jokes themselves. And so this is pretty much the article. And there are other articles about the Kevin Hart controversy. Now, I will say this, you know, he did stand up for what he believed in. But here's the thing, why didn't you stand up for Black women? When you were making those jokes, how come you had to use us as your way to rise to fame? You know, you know, they didn't have no problem. The same people that's doing all of this right now, when he was making those jokes about Black women, it was funny. It was okay to do that. But he didn't make jokes about white people. He didn't make jokes about white women, you know, because he couldn't do that because then he wouldn't be famous. He wouldn't be Kevin Hart. And so that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You know, the other thing, now I'm going to move on from that. It just seems what I'm saying is contradicting. Everybody's contradicting one another, is what I'm saying. You're going to use it. You notice they use that race thing when they feel it's necessary. When they feel it's necessary for them and their benefit. But when they want to rise to fame and make that money, they they throw Black women under the bus. They've done this for years as well. Look at these men that are talking. A lot of them they by themselves, and that ain't by accident. I'm gonna tell you that. The other thing is now I'm moving on to another topic. And this right here is about this artist. And I've listened to her music. I must admit, and I've listened to her, and I guess I just show a picture of her face or whatever. And so it says why Cardi B is very torn over getting back together with Offset. And so you see all these little comments, all these little things. Somebody gather Offset's lonely ass rapper pines for Cardi B on Twitter. I guess he's trying to win her back. They had a breakup. Cardi B reportedly did not want to get out of the bed after Offset's breakup. And all this stuff is in the paper and the articles and all this mess. Listen, these guys in Hollywood, they sleep with as many people. You don't know who they've been sleeping with. And you are not the only one. And if you listen to some of her Instagram videos, she has all this stuff that she talks about. Oh, I didn't like when I was skinny, and I had to change my look, and I had to do all these things to myself. And so she wasn't happy with herself. It sounds like she's still not happy with herself. And let me tell you something, to this Cardi, whatever, when you in Hollywood and you competing with all these women, there are going to be a lot of pretty women out there. They got the same mindset as you. They doing the same thing you doing. They want that money. And however they got to do it, that's how they going to do it. Even if it means making sacrifices that could end up in the paper, like such as this situation right here. And these men, they sleeping with all these women. Notice everybody he's sleeping with, they kind of look like Cardi. It's other, they're mixed or whatever. They're Latina, black Latinas, and all this kind of stuff. He likes sleeping with those type of women, and they don't seem like they're very bright either. That's all it's about. Is about drinking, money, sex, drugs, and trying to get money quick until it runs out. And it just seems real like immature. First of all, she's on Instagram way too much. She's giving too much airtime to people who, she says that these people are ugly and that she doesn't like them, and they talk about her and all this stuff. So why are you on Instagram talking to these people? Why are you on social media talking to the very people you say you hate? You don't want talking about you. They talking about you because you always on Instagram talking to them. She need to stay off social media. That's what she need to do. Because that seems like where all the drama starts. And we know on social media is so much drama on there. You know, you don't have to be no rocket scientist to figure that one out. The other thing is that you can see the level of education that these people have, the way they talk, the way they move, the way they act, the way they carry themselves. Some of the stuff she talked about, if you look at some of the posts, some of the stuff oh my, she talked about her vagina and how everybody wants it, how she can have men, how she can have women, all this stuff. I mean, she just stay off of Instagram, stay off of social media. She's just low. It's just really low. It's like drawing for attention. I think she says this stuff because she knows that idiots are going to look at that stuff and they're going to feed into it. And the other thing is like, why would you put yourself out there like that and say, oh, everybody wants my, you know what, and I can have all these people. If you can have all these people, then why is the guy that you married sleeping with all these different women? Why is he sleeping with all those different women? If you got all this between your legs and you got it going on like that, and you got all this money, she had to have her teeth fixed, she had to have her ass fixed. You got all this shit going on, and why are you getting all these things fixed on you? If you happy with yourself, then how come you couldn't leave your teeth fucked up like you said they was? How come you couldn't leave your ass flat like you said it was? How come if you got all this fancy shit between your legs, how come your man is sleeping with all these other women out in the street? Because it ain't like what you saying. You're not happy with yourself. You're not happy with yourself. And notice the other thing that bothers me is that this female here, she's I don't care what nobody says, she black. But because she looks a certain way, I believe that's how she rose to fame. That's one of the reasons why she rose so quickly. And people like that trash talk that she does on Instagram. Because the young generation, they like that bullshit. They like hearing that bullshit that people talk out the side of their neck. And so that gave her some notoriety. You know how many dark black women probably are more raw than her, but they don't get that credibility and rise to fame like she did. It's because of colorism. It's because of colorism. She look a certain way, and she has that black woman, that raw, straight up, no nonsense. I'm gonna give it to you how it is attitude. If it's coming from her because she looked particular way, it's acceptable. But if it was coming from a dark sister, oh, that's ghetto. We don't like that. Oh, she needs some help and all this kind of stuff. How come you don't criticize this heifer? Criticize her. She got all that butt injections and that fake shit up in her ass and her teeth done and stuff like that. Anybody can do some shit like that and look good or whatever. I've seen black darker sisters that sound better than her in rapping, but they don't got this type of notoriety. Someone, Cardi, you need to get off your soapbox. You think you all that? It's other women out there that's better than you. That's out there, and they don't have all this notoriety. It's because they lifted you up. The very people that bought your albums, that gave you all this credibility, some of them, it's a colorism thing. But you know what? You're gonna get old. You're gonna get tired. You're gonna get played out because there's another girl. There's probably several other females that they got to replace your ass. So you gotta watch what you say because she's saying all this stuff about people, talking about well they this and they that and these are ugly bitches and all this kind of stuff. Well, guess what? Not too long ago you had to get your ass fixed and pumped. And not too long ago, you had to get your raggedy ass teeth fixed. So I guess you an ugly bitch too. It takes one to know one. So for her to get up there and say all this bullshit and people are scared of her, I, you miss me with that. That's bullshit. I'm just being real. She is not all of that. She ain't. She just a couple of albums away from getting her ass kicked to the curb. For real. Because there's going to be some other female that's going to come out that's going to be younger, that's going to be prettier, that's going to put her out. She going to be yesterday's news. And we see Offset, he bumping all them females. Anybody that looks at him and looks his way, he ready to jump in bed with him. So she ain't all that. She doing all this shit talking online, talking about her shit is this and her pussy is gold and all this kind of stuff. Let me tell you something. Your stuff is not gold. It isn't. There's other females lined up screwing your man probably right to this very minute. The only reason why he wants you is because of the fame and the money. You trying to ride them little wheels till they fall off. They gonna fall off quick for you because she, from what I heard, is she was supposed to show up in court. I don't know if she showed up in court or not. I ain't in her life like that, but what I'm saying, she done put her life out on blast on Instagram. So she not happy with herself. And she always fighting with everybody. She always fighting with everybody. Every time you turn around, she getting into it with somebody. She the only one that I see that come out doing that. And Nicki Minaj, she's darker. Notice she didn't get no awards. That's fucked up. She been around longer than Cardi. But you know, I think some of that is a race thing. It is. I'm gonna call it out for what it is. It's a race thing. She's a darker sister, so she don't get no awards, but the light skinned sister get awards because she got that little twang and she sound like she Hispanic and all this bullshit. You know, it's other girls out there that's prettier than her, and they gonna come and they gonna knock your shit out the way. You watch, and you got it coming because you don't know how to talk to nobody. You got a fucked up attitude. The very people that put you on top are regretting they did it. So you need to watch the shit that you say on Instagram because she talking too big. Her head is big as a fucking bubble. And somebody need to pop that shit. I'm just saying. Because I hear this little bitch, she be talking on Instagram, my pussy is this and my pussy is that. Well, bitch, your pussy ain't shit because your nigga is sleeping with everybody and anybody out in the street. You ain't the only woman out there with pussy now. So anyway, I'm gonna end this video like that. But you know, it's just some little immature son of a bitches out here. and they not telling the truth. And I'm just being honest. I'm being straightforward. I don't really come up like this and I don't talk like this. But I'm tired of the bullshit. There's so many fake ass people out here. And so anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna let this video go. But she need to grow up. She needs some lessons in growing up and stuff. And she don't like what I'm saying, then fuck you. If you got something to say, I'll say it to your face. I'm not scared of her. All these bitches scared of her. Don't be scared of her. She didn't get that money like anybody else, like she's some kind of supreme god or some shit like that. She can be yesterday's news. It's other females out there that's better, that sound better than her. They already said that Cardi don't even write her own music. She don't even write. I come from a generation where females wrote their own music. There were dark females, dark sisters who rapped way better than you. They rapped about politics. They actually had some education on the streets, and they actually put pen and paper to the test, and they actually had some skills, some skill set, which you don't have. You lack a lot of. And some of those people right now, you don't hear from them. You don't see them. They didn't get all those Grammys and all that bullshit. It's some other females should have got way more Grammys than Cardi. Cardi didn't really deserve all of that. She really didn't. That's Hollywood doing that shit. And I'm gonna add this in here now. I'm not gonna try to be sugarcoating none of this, but Hollywood LGBTQ, the face of this is white LGBTQ people. Now I'm gonna jump back on that. The reason why these communities like this get so offensive when it's white and you offend them, they are on your ass. They on your ass. But let it be black LGBTQ people. They want you to be quiet. They don't want you to say nothing, and they don't come. They don't say nothing. If you say something against one of them, oh, it's okay. They don't say no. When they did that movie Moonlight, and people was commenting, then nobody did no white people come to the defense of that. You know, as long as if it was like white gay movies, uh, don't say that about that movie. It was well thought out. It was in good taste and stuff like that. So it's some racism in the LGBTQ community as well. So for those of you that don't know, when it has to do with white LGBTQ people, they don't want you, they're very protected, you know. But when it's black LGBTQ people, it's like, oh well. And you notice when it's the transgender people, it's always the Hispanic trans, black trans, they get killed more often. When it's white people, you don't hear it as much happening as much. But it seems like most of the killings is black trans and black and Hispanic trans and stuff like that. Because they don't give a shit about you. But when it be white people, they want you to rally, they want you to have it, they want you to protest and shit like that. Because this racism in the LGBTQ community, you think it wouldn't be? It is. It is. They get treated some type of way. When you black or when you Hispanic and you gay, you get treated in some type of way. That's why I'm saying back to that other comment about the Kevin Hart controversy. See, when it's black people that's gay, you get treated another way when you gay, when you're black. See, nobody's saying shit about that. And so that's what I'm saying. And so into the thing is now I'm going back to this Cardi thing. Cardi is immature. She's ghetto too, but because she looks a particular way, she looks some other persuasion, she getting all this credibility and notoriety. But let her be a dark sister doing all of this stuff. She won't get no award. She won't get no notoriety, no fame. She won't get nothing. She won't get nothing. Anyway, I'm gonna let this video go. All right, I'm signing out. Thanks for listening.